Welcome to Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. Thank you for your service.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. We're about to have a lot of fun because we're going back to my roots. And why I say that is that I spent 3 years in Italy, and one of my favorite places to go in Italy was Venice. And there's a little island off of Venice, and all they do is glass blow. It's amazing. You take a tour of it. It is the most beautiful stuff that you've ever seen in your entire life. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, fast forward to today. Today we have on the show Theresa Petruna and Steve Kelnhofer. Okay, they are the co-founders of Elev8 Veterans. All right, and what they try to do is empower veterans with alternative medicine, alternative lifestyle choices for health, and they do it through glass blowing, cannabis, understanding different types of biofeedback that we get from our bodies so that we know how to medicate properly and not just get in kind of this circle of medication. So Theresa, Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm Theresa.
Yeah, and I'm Steve, and thank you for having me.
Great. Well, like we usually do on the show, I'm going to hand it off to you guys. I love to hear a little bit about you and, your backgrounds, how you guys got this started and all of that. So, Theresa, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So the reason for Elev8 Veterans, so I'm Theresa. I'm a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division. By the time I was 21 years old, I was working for a DoD agency that did international weapons inspections. My boss was the president. I never planned to get out of the military. It wasn't the reason I joined. So when I got out, I found it very, very hard. And in fact, I even found myself in prison for 3 years. It's devastating. Nobody should have to go through that. But what I found is that by finding myself and access to alternative therapies, I was able to come out of this cycle of medication from our VA. The VA had me on over 19 pages of medication within 12 years. Another reason I ended up behind bars, right? I couldn't function without like knowing anything. I didn't know anything. So then I found that cannabis was starting to heal my life, right? And so I came to Colorado and I partnered with this wonderful guy named Steve who makes this device here. And I've been able to travel to different states now. I'm now healthy. I used to be on a liver transplant list. By the time I was 40, I was told I would be dead by 45. I've beat that. The VA failed me. And now I want to prove that there's access to alternative therapies and we can all heal. Nobody ever has to go through anything that me or another veteran has gone through with the negative impacts.
And your story is, I mean, obviously it's one of success because of where you are, where you found yourself, what you've been through, but it's not unique. There are so many veterans that have gone through something similar. You get in this cycle, like you said, of this medication. Now you're addicted to certain medications. You're not getting enough from the VA. So now you have to make decisions based on your need for opioids, say, or something else. It doesn't matter what that is, but you have to make a decision to feed your body this drug to just be okay for a minute. And you can make some poor decisions and go down some dark paths, whether that's, like you said, getting in trouble with the law. We have veterans that, take their own lives because they get into depression and all of that. So that is what we're trying to break that cycle. So I am glad to hear that you're one of the success stories that you did break that cycle. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. A lot of people find it strange that I found it in cannabis because for some people, they believe cannabis to be a gateway drug or a hard drug or anything. And I beg them to do their research. So when I asked the VA to, so when the VA put me on a liver transplant list at 40 years old and said, you will be dead by 45, I said, is there something else I can do? I'd like to maybe try cannabis. They institutionalized me because I was about to cause harm to my body and come off of my medications. When they let me out, I moved here to Colorado. And I'm going to tell you that I am now on 0 medications. The VA has no hold over me. They still treat me. They cannot take away your benefits. They will not take away your benefits. Please do not think that they will do that because they cannot and they will not. They can take away your prescription narcotics, but it's all about pain management. You have to find your balance. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you to find access to alternative therapies, whether that's chiropractor, cannabis, or anything like that. Because if there's me, there's more. And Steve understood that and was able to come. So we meet, they blow glass for me. When the glass sells, I'm able to provide these devices and glass blowing to our veterans. And the glass blowing, I'm telling you, with that PTSD, it is tremendous. It's as far as what it can do from you. I've worked for Yellow Ribbon Foundation with Yellow Gold Star families. They came down, Space Force has come, and veterans fly from everywhere just to come get a glass blowing class.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when I lived in Italy and I saw what they were doing in Venice, the skill, the attention to detail, I can completely see how that would kind of feed into the mind of a veteran. Because if you're in basic training and they're telling you just to make a square out of your t-shirt that's 6 inches by 6 inches, your lines have to be perfect and all this, that's all attention to detail. It's something we've heard since the moment we got to basic training. Mm-hmm. That is glass blowing, that attention, that you have to be in that moment. You can't be somewhere else thinking about something else. You have to be in the moment. So Steve, please tell us a little bit about yourself since you're the glass blowing guy.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I got into this almost 18 years ago. You know, I grew up in Colorado Springs. We just heard the planes fly over. I wanted to be a pilot, but you know, how I grew up or whatnot, nobody's going to tell me what to do, especially the government. So the military was not an option for me, you know. And so, and then I decided I became an electrician, and I had I did like pot. It was, you know, my dad grew it. I grew up with it, that it wasn't a bad thing. And so I got busted growing it. And then I was working on Schriever Air Force Base, you know, and all of a sudden I'm a druggie. Yet I'm out working my journeyman 5 to 4 all day on everything, given his, you know, drunkenness because he lost his license to work. I'm not bringing pot on Schriever Air Force Base, just not going to happen. So I lose that and start this thing and, you know, go around here and, you know, I really wanted a vape. I loved the flavor and I loved how, like back then, pot was really expensive. Mm-hmm. And so I smoked half as much. So I'm putting less in my body. I'm getting the same. And the flavor was better. So to me, frugal, it was good, better for my wallet, better for my health, and better for my flavor. Like, it's like bing, bing, bing. So we did that. And it's been a crazy ride. It's been, you know, being your own boss. This has probably been the hardest battle I could have ever imagined fighting. I've had to fight my government. They've seized containers of mine coming in saying that it's drug paraphernalia when they let my competitor from Germany and from China flood in. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, help me out, help a brother out, you know? And so it's been this crazy thing and just seeing all this stuff. And I think that's why me and Theresa actually do work together well. Like, I may not be a veteran, but I feel like I'm a warrior fighting battles every day. And so I think, you know, that's why she works here, is like, there's a lot of battles to fight here. It's a lot. It's constant. And it's not like we're putting our lives on danger, not that type of battle at all.
No, nothing we do is illegal here.
Yeah.
No, but it's
anymore.
It's just every day there's a new battle, whether it's a new employee you got to train or I don't know. It's just
right. And so I want to give a shout out to all of the hardworking businessmen and women who, whether they didn't go in the Army out of personal choice or whatever, stayed home and created these businesses for us to be able to come in and say, hey, you know what? I don't fit in anywhere else. Can I just have a little spot? And then eventually they see the value of having you in there, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm that bowling ball that's going straight for those pins, and I have to find all of them, knock them out so that we can rebuild it, because they might be the enemy, right? So if something's not working, I help find it and then we fix it. Yeah. And so my mission is still creating, you know, it's still existing.
Yeah.
Like I used to have to jump out and save the commander, now I jump out and I'm like, oh, we got to do this.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
it's that continued service. So your continued service is now to your community doing this. Steve, you didn't join the military, but you're now serving the veteran community by opening up your shop, allowing people to come in, teaching them the glass blowing, providing, like you said, the vehicle to get their medicine. And we're going to get into that. But it's something we talk about on this show time and time again, as I have more and more people on. It's that continued service, whether you're military or not military. There is an importance to serving your community. It doesn't have to be through the government. It doesn't have to be military. It doesn't have to be the Peace Corps. It could simply, like you said, be opening a business in your community and giving back and letting people in and, heading down to the high school and sponsoring the football team or whatever you do to make your neighbor's life better and your life better. That's your service. So, that's what you were made to do.
For Elev8, I like to almost like to be selfish, because if you're not thinking about you first, you can't think about nobody around.
That's correct.
And we're all veterans, non-veterans. It's just symbiotic. We need you for our freedom. You need us to pay for you to get there. And it's all this. I mean, we're just one unit. We're one American. We're actually just one human race. And yeah, it's about. And that's why I love what we do. And just glass, you're always teaching people, and then the veterans that come in or anybody, it's just, you're giving them something where they can, it's humbling. You're going to break stuff. You suck at it, but you get better. It's learning something. And again, it's the focus. Like you have to turn everything off. And I think that really gives you a thing, even for me, like running a business, like glass blowing, it allows you to compartmentalize some things, focus here, turn it off, and then go over here.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. You have to be hyper focused in what you're doing. One, for your own safety, because let's be honest, glass blowing, you can be dangerous. You can hurt yourself. You know what I mean? You have to be careful. You have to be in the moment, paying attention to what you're doing. Plus, there's the artistic side of it, is that you want your mind focused on your piece of art, because each one of these items, you see them there on the table, they're a piece of art. They're also a vehicle for medicine, but they are a piece of art. And I mean, they're beautiful pieces. I mean, you guys have some amazing stuff there. Tell us about the first, it was called the Surfer, correct?
Right. Yep. And so you had mentioned that these were consumption devices. We like to say consume flower and concentrates for the different forms here, cannabis, CBD. We don't like to say we get stoned anyway, but we also make pendants.
Very cool.
We do cremation work as well. So cremation work is really popular because this is heirloom glass. This is never going to burn in your house fire unless there's an incineration, because of the way that it's tempered. And so like for my family, I didn't think about it, but I had a set of cups made for my family, and we could have put my grandmother's ashes in there and all sat around and just drank with grandma, right?
Yeah.
But
could have been there every time. A little whiskey on the side, everything's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this right here, I love, because this is what spawned Steve into making a glass. So he needed glass components for this device here, and taught himself, and he had to like travel people. There was no YouTube back then or anything. So like, that's really cool. But this is made of an aluminum housing and then just a base here, metal base, and it's glass inside with a little ceramic heater. And so we call this the Silver Surfer vehicle. You notice there's no metal. When you hook up the thing, it's all glass on glass. So this is called a cannabis consumption vehicle device. Or you can vape lavender or anything like that. So when it comes to cannabis, the first thing everybody needs to understand is the moment you put a lighter to anything, you destroy 60% of the active ingredients and increase your tars and carcinogens by 30%. For me, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially because I understand now, I didn't then, that cannabinoids, flavonoids, and terpenes all vaporize at different temperatures. Now, if you'll notice, I said vaporize, I did not say combust, because once you hit combustion, you're missing out on all those good things that your medical doctors, your bud tenders, all those people are telling you that you need from this product. So essentially, you're not getting exactly what you need. This right here, bioavailability. Do you know what that means?
No, I do not.
Wonderful. Well, bioavailability is the amount of the medicinal properties that you're getting into your body. So if you inject heroin into your veins, that's 100% bioavailability. It's going straight in.
Okay.
Flintstone vitamins, I don't want to break anyone's heart, but they don't even have fruits and vegetables in them. So there's zero bioavailability. When you combust cannabis, you're only getting about 30%. When you eat it, you get about 4 to 20, depending on your liver. Okay. Remember, I was on a liver transplant list, so those numbers didn't exist for me. So it's all different based on your body. When you vaporize, and that could be using this, and some people vaporize their concentrates. It's called dabbing. That's also vaporizing. Those little cartridge pens, yes, that's vaporizing. We can talk about that a whole nother time. But this is 80% bioavailability. Now, when you consume flower, you also have a byproduct left over that you can consume. Most people, when they smoke their pot, they dump the ashes out, or it's just like cigarette ashes. You don't go back and eat that. This here actually produces an edible product, and I usually have some here, and it's still activated THC. So some people who make edibles, if you make edibles, you can hear this, they put the pot or the cannabis into the oven, they bake it to a certain temperature, and then they take it out and they make their butter with it.
Correct.
Why let the oven get high?
This is
getting
true.
your kitchen stoned.
And the oven got all the flavor too. It's
Right?
just like
So now you can vaporize it through this machine and still have that bio product left to eat.
Okay.
We actually have a cooking channel called Cooking Cannabis with Johnny Duck, and I just sprinkle it on a peanut butter sandwich at nighttime, and it knocks me out. And I was a paratrooper, so
Yeah, that'll do it though. That'll
yes,
do it. Especially
absolutely.
the cannabis that you're seeing nowadays, just for people, this is not the skunk stuff that you bought from some dude behind the gym when you were a teenager back in the early 90s, late 80s. This stuff is scientifically developed in a lot of the states in the United States. The growers have gotten a lot better. They're using techniques that we've now seen in agriculture to make specific strains that give you a specific high. So whether or not you want something that's a little bit more speedy or something more relaxed, you would smoke one thing for anxiety, where if you want to smoke during the day, you would smoke something else, say. So understand that this isn't just simple buying a dime bag from a guy at 7-Eleven. This is science that we're doing. This is medicine.
right. And so one thing I'd like to say is like that, each person is different. So one person might say, oh, they break it down so simply as sativa and indica.
Mhm.
Well, it's not that simple. In the reality of sativa and indica, they're the same thing. They're pot. They got THC, they got CBD. It's the ratios in them. They're quite different. But then in each subcategory, you have all these strains that are all equally different, just like we're all different heights, different colors, different weights, different eye colors. That's what's beautiful about these plants. And so it's out there, and you have to almost really, if you do go down the cannabis path and you want to find that, you really have to kind of go down your own adventure, because you have to find what works for you. If she likes sativa X, I might, sativa X for me might not work. And it's all these different things. And so the good thing is you're not going to die from it. You're not going to overdose from it.
No.
So while you can experience or experiment, it's quite safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that being said, so at our website, Elev8, ELEV, the number 8 presents.com, we have a cannabis dictionary there, encyclopedia. We have it broken down. You can research THCV, THCA, all of that. We have that broken down. And so I determined, but yes, I determined that I wanted cannabis to help me come off my medications. I needed something for pain relief. I needed something for anti-anxiety. But what I was finding when I was combusting, that all of them made me anxious or they made me tired. Okay. So if I smoked what was called a sativa, I was just running around like an anxious mess, thinking that the world was after me. I'd barricade myself in my bathroom. Like, it was insane. And then when I would do a sativa indica, which means indica couch, by the way, sativa's up, indica's down.
Yep.
They would say it's supposed to make me sleep, but sometimes it wouldn't do that to me, right? But I had just told them I needed something for pain relief to help me sleep. Also, I was combusting. So when you combust, remember, you're missing out on all that stuff that you're just trying to get. You're only getting a very, very small portion. And then some of the properties are changing through the combustion. And so that's why when I started vaporizing, I can now educate a little more based on, if you're looking for THCV, then you'll want to go for a THCV strain. And then you can actually, now the internet has it to where you can search THCV strains, and it's going to tell you what strains are high in that.
But
Yeah.
I do gotta say, the misinformation out there, right? Strains, it's beautiful. As long as that strain is a strain and everything from it that you ever talk about is a clone from that strain. If it's I got seeds from this strain, well, there's 5,000 seeds, and baby, every seed is going to be different. So it has no characteristics of what the two parents did. And that's so, you have blueberry, but there are 12 different blueberries and they're all different. So the cannabis world is really crazy. So it's neat. The cannabis world, the glass world, we're really going through an entire renaissance right now, I feel like, where it's being open. The glass, it's going through a renaissance that's never existed. The cannabis, in America is being widely accepted as, and people are seeing what is happening by going from, I'm not saying pharmaceuticals are bad. They're there for a reason and for the right thing. But there are other ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'll be the first to say, listen, if your doctor and you sit down and you're both in agreement that you need to be on a certain medication, I'm on certain heart medications, I'm not going to tell my doctor that, nah, you know what, I'm going off all my medications, I'm good to go. First of all, my wife would kill me. But if you sit down and you actually do some research on pain management, anxiety, depression, PTSD, TBI, and I'm listing things that a lot of veterans deal with on a regular basis. Exactly. Cannabis is now widely accepted to treat, and I use the term treat because I don't want to say that you're just smoking marijuana, something like that. You're using it for medicine to treat all of these different conditions. So we always want to kind of preface that when I have somebody on the show that's talking about cannabis, I want to talk about, listen, there is the social aspect of it, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
You can go for a sit, just like you could sit and have some whiskey at the end of the night in front of a campfire. You can sit and, smoke with your friends and all of that. And that's great. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But I like to focus a little bit more on the medicinal side of things and what the benefits you can have. People that deal with sleep issues, all of that. Like you said, I need something to just deal with my pain management and help me get to sleep. Okay, let's hook you up with the proper strain. Let's get you some good information. Steve, like you said, there's so much misinformation out there. People make wild claims about this or that. It's important to kind of weed through that, get that good information to make sure that we're getting you the proper medicine for whatever you're dealing with.
And I'm not a doctor, but I have found that
they don't know much in a certain area in cannabis. And like you, I think you've had a lot of doctors that hey, you start taking cannabis, we're going to throw you in the psych world. But there's also doctors that you have found in the VA that will do it.
They're open.
Yeah. So
I just request a new doctor when I have a bad thing, and they are required to do that.
Doctors aren't always right. They have beliefs too.
Right.
While they are way more knowledgeable in the medical field than us, for sure. And you should listen to your doctor. Get another opinion sometimes. If both of those doctors are saying the same thing.
Yeah. When my wife was dealing with her, when she was trying to diagnose her autoimmune disease, she would go to doctors and they would tell her one thing, tell her the other thing. She finally got a doctor that helped her diagnose. She has Sjogren's. Then they wanted to put her on medications. Actually, it was an anti-malaria medication that I took when I was in Uzbekistan. So I was like, maybe don't take that. Hold on.
Oxycycline?
Yes. Let's start getting like a second opinion. And the dosage that they wanted to put her on was more than what I was. And I was like, this seems a lot. Like, hold on, pause. She started doing a tremendous amount of research. She started playing with her diet. That was the first thing that she did. She started playing with her diet, getting the diet right, right? So what we're putting into our bodies, that's going to directly affect anything that we're dealing with. Now that's almost 10 years ago. She deals with her symptoms. I won't say that she's symptom free. She manages her symptoms completely with diet at this point. She is able to not be on medications, but she'll go to doctors and they'll be like, oh, you're going to have high cholesterol because you eat a high fat diet. And she's like, but what is my cholesterol? Well, your cholesterol is fine, but you know, this is a little high. But they're like, well, she's like, well, what's my ratio? Oh no, your ratio is perfect. She's like, but isn't that what's perfect? Like, isn't that a good thing? And they're like, well, you know, but you got to watch. It's like, hold on. You just said my ratio was perfect. So why? Oh, because you want to put me on Lipitor. Because that's what you don't want me to do this because I'm not on any medication. So, and again, I'm not trying to just bash on doctors or bash on the pharmaceutical industry or anything like that, but be skeptical when there's money involved. There's always an ulterior motive.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Question everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, I had to go far. I had to become a vegan.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Most people aren't okay with me being a vegan. I don't understand why. They don't have to eat it, right?
Yeah, you do you.
But my doctors, every time I go, like, they'll say, oh, you need to go home and you need to eat a steak. It's got iron. You're low in iron, clinically low in iron, clinically low in vitamin D. And I'm struggling over here and I don't want to eat a steak. I know how I'm going to feel after. So I come home and I'm finally like, Steve, I gotta do it. So I stomach down like a steak and then I do research. Clams have more iron and more vitamin D than a steak. And I could have ate 4 clams versus a 24-ounce steak.
Like 20 times more.
Yeah,
Yet
like,
there's not recommended for her to go eat.
and mushrooms,
clams.
vitamin D, right? And so they don't have that information. And so I found that once I started treating my symptoms and not their diagnosis, that things started getting better because you can't just straight cure the diagnosis. You've got to do the symptoms first.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what your wife did. And I'm so proud of her too.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. She actually now coaches other people. She's trying to pass on the information. Again, going back to that whole service thing, you know, once you figure it out, the proper thing to do if you're a good human being is to pull that next person up and help that next person.
And that's another reason Elev8 Veterans is here.
Exactly. And that's kind of why I said that, was because that's what you guys are doing. You're now helping educate through your dictionary. You're helping because you're opening your doors to the glass blowing shop to teach veterans about the glass blowing. And I want to talk about that for a second. So Elev8 Premier is your glass blowing shop, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. And what is it, on Saturdays you open up the doors to veterans? They come in, and walk me through a little bit about what you're teaching them. Are we getting right in and starting to blow glass? Or, I mean, how does this all work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do it pretty much Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
You know, depending, you know, if we have the funds to get them in, or we got somebody get in, or we got a teacher. Like, a lot of things have to work out. And sometimes we'll also get like regular people in there to help subsidize the veteran side as well. So Airbnb. So that's been a real nice thing. But yeah, you come in, you sit down, and within a half an hour, we got the torch going. We go over safety first.
Okay.
We are on the torch, and you're melting it into a marble. And that's when you get to, all of a sudden, you discover gravity. You discover what heat is. You discover that how something absorbs heat. You start to discover all these like things, and then you're like, damn, it's not that easy. Holy shit. And but that's when the smiles come on. People expect it to be fun or this or that, and it's not. What's fun is the challenge, the failing, and the failing again, and then finally figuring it out. And I think for me, it's really selfish almost to be a part of Elev8 Veterans and to do these classes, because I'm just sharing what I love, and to see people, some people don't like it, which is fine too, but the people that do, it's amazing. And for how it's helped me, and how some of the other vets it's helped, it's just neat sharing. That's what it is. It's selfish to share.
And now what is usually the end product of, say, that first Saturday? If I stopped in, would I be just making a marble that day, or would I try to make something else? How does that all work? Or is it based on my proficiency and how I kind of progress?
So it's twofold. So we have two events we're talking about. We have our weekly glass blowing, which veterans can come anytime. Then we have our first Saturday events. And what happens on first Saturday is as I open it up to the community and I invite veterans to come and watch, right? They can blow glass if they want to, but also I have a barbecue, I have food trucks, vendors, and I invite professional glass blowers. And what the professional glass blowers do is they get together and design a piece, and then they all work together to make it. So this one right here, these mushrooms were actually made by James. And he was a veteran. He found us and then started glass blowing within 6 months. He's able to be on this piece here that probably has about 45 or 50 years collaborating in glass blowing experience.
Wow.
So about 4 different people made this piece, including a female glass artist called Lyric Glass. And then there was Jeff, which is simply glass. And then Steve, I believe, helped on this one. This one here has a little bit more. So these flowers were made by Lyric Glass. This hand was made by another guy. This guy was made by someone. This was made by someone. This one made by someone. And then Steve put it all together. And so these pieces are very unique in the glass blowing industry in that it's very rare to find a collaboration with more than 2 people, sometimes 3. But when you get 7 glass blowers that have been doing it for 16 to 20 years, the amount of experience in this one just makes it a little more special. So when these sell, this goes back in fund to give the glass blowing classes and these vehicles to the veterans.
Yeah, and then when you take the classes, you pretty much will walk out with, I'd say, depending on your skill and how you ramp to it, I'd say 3 marbles to 10 marbles. And then we'll take those marbles and add a loop to it.
Very cool.
Or a bail, and then we'll turn it into a pendant. Some people come in and they make a cell phone holder or
Chopsticks. Or ice cubes is common.
Yeah.
People make ice cubes, or they just think, oh, you know what? You mean I can do anything? The guy made a Mexican sombrero dancer.
Yeah.
And he didn't know anything about glass blowing. He just said, this is what I'm going to do. And he just believed in himself and the glass enough to do it. But they'll leave with about 4 or 5 projects. Your glass blower, if you want them to make you something special, they'll partner with you and make something for you. You might have to pick it up the next day, but because these all have to go through an annealing process. And then they go in the kiln, which makes it that heirloom quality where it's the temperature resistant. Is that correct?
Well, it's just, it can withstand a lot of temperature. Okay. And then once they take these classes, the first day is really basically like a crash course in the safety and everything. And then once they do that, then we can get them back at even a more affordable rate because we don't have to have a teacher there, and we can just get them on the torch and they can come and do their own thing on their own time. And it just opens up.
Yep, I go with my injuries, I go when I can. Now that I've got this one fixed, I'm hoping that I can go more, but we have other people in the community. And so I constantly am also at events. So I have volunteers like John, who was 82nd, or Jeff that wasn't, or this guy that was a ranger, and we'll all get together and go to events and just hang out and talk with vets. I also travel to probably about 7 different states now that I have a chapter in, including Washington State. I've partnered with 22 Too Many out there in Olympia, and they do what's called a safe access market. So on Saturdays, they have a safe access market. For veterans, it's free. For civilians, it might cost something if you bring somebody with you, but they give you access to cannabis, psilocybin, MDMA, education. It's all education. So they have psilocybin growing classes even. Wow. On Wednesdays, they have come vape with it's like Women Wednesdays or something. So the ladies are there to come. And so I have it's you could say that I sponsor these events because I can't always be there, but they have all of our stuff on the table and that's all they consume from.
Matt Barrow is a big helper out
Yeah,
there.
we have Matt and Renee out there, and they partner with Patrick. And so Patrick also works for a magazine, or not works, but has ins for a magazine called High Times Magazine.
Yes.
You've heard of that?
Of course.
And so in August, I was tagged in their post and I wasn't sure why. Then I remembered a few months ago, they interviewed me. And
very cool.
So Steve here have this interview here called Vehicle for a Change about me going from state to state, educating and providing this for our veterans. And in the time we're in right now, even though it's legal in a lot of states, it's still very illegal in other states.
Mhm. Yes.
I'm paving ways.
Yeah. And you have to, because even the states that it's legal in, so take New York. I'm in New York, and
Okay.
I recently had a representative from Balanced Veterans on, and we were talking about New York specifically and growing here in New York, because now you can grow, because you still can't walk into a dispensary and buy, because even though they made it legal, they didn't pass any type of regulation yet to regulate the sale. And they're already saying that that's probably 2 years down the road. So where you can't get arrested now for smoking marijuana in your home or something like that. How are you supposed to get it?
So the law still keeps it underground.
Right.
And that's the
Exactly.
thing.
So it's better. We're like you said, you're paving roads, you're getting there, but it's still not there yet. And from what, having other people on the show, one of the other big things that is happening across the entire country is the banking industry has made it very difficult for pot growers, cannabis growers, and dispensaries to handle their money after transaction, whether they can put it in banks, credit cards. They have to accept cash for a lot of things. There's a lot of thievery because of that in the industry. So there are still a lot of hurdles until this is not a Schedule I drug anymore, and until there's something at the federal level that passes that allows and takes away so many of these restrictions. Even though it's legal in the states, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot.
Which is nuts. Like, who are these, excuse my language, cocksuckers holding this shit back?
Yeah.
Because at this point, from what I understood, majority rules, we are past 30 some states that have it for medical marijuana now.
Yes.
That is high majority. We only have 50 states, so 30 plus out of 50.
Yep.
So
And then I think is it 18 that have a recreational, I believe? I believe it's something like that.
Federally legal. Federally. We know
And
who is making the money off of this stuff right now.
Well,
pharmaceuticals. There's so many just piss testing people. Who owns the piss testing companies where I got to piss test people on weed? Seriously?
yeah, no, it is crazy. And, you say who benefits. There's always a who benefits, right?
Yeah.
Who benefits? Well, like you said, we have a bloated correctional industry in this country that's mostly private.
Right.
So you have to see that they just need to feed that. And then you have obviously the pharmaceutical industry that wants nothing to do with medical marijuana because you will not take their medications anymore. Well, at least a lot of their medications. You know what I mean?
Not going to get paid.
Exactly. So unfortunately, when you do fight these fights, you are fighting against people that have billions of dollars to be made by keeping marijuana a Schedule I drug and out of the hands of veterans, civilians, and all the people that could benefit from it. So it's sad. It really is. But the fact that we're already at 30 states for medical use, that just shows that even as a Schedule I drug and all the stigma that they try to push at it, when you see that that's still fighting through, know that there's something to this.
I love that battle, but I wonder, why are we winning? Is it because cannabis is actually good? Or is it because what I believe, Colorado made it legal? We had our street lights turned off here in Colorado Springs. We were broke.
Yeah. Now you're making money.
Now we're making money, right? Because we're growing so much pot and it's leaving the states through concentrates, crazy amounts, illegally, obviously, but all the money's coming here. The next state sees it. The next one sees it. So because every state doesn't know how to balance a budget, which that's another problem. We need to figure that out. They keep trying to find all these ways. And I think it's just become the idea that cannabis can be good for some people. It's not good for all. Is still lost in the money. Everything is lost in the money.
And even on Facebook, eBay, Amazon, I can't sell even a pendant. And they remove it for paraphernalia because it's glass. So even the glass blowers still have a hard time. So if I travel to Texas and I have all this with me, and I have cannabis and I get busted, they then charge me for the cannabis and each and every device.
Yes, because each
As a
device
felony.
is a
You know,
paraphernalia.
And
Right.
Utah. So this is the crazy thing. And this is why like these vehicles are so important that people know Utah has a zero combustion law. You are not allowed to combust your cannabis.
Even though it's medically legal.
You can not combustion. You can't. That's
Okay.
not legal.
That's not legal.
You can vaporize with one
Okay.
of these all day long, but they don't give this to you or tell you that there. They
Right.
just tell you can't buy it unless you plan to do this. So all these people in Utah are combusting, not knowing that there is another way, thinking that they're wrong, right? Like, so that was the thing in Florida. Florida did it too. They've changed since then. And we made a specific thing just for Florida because that came in these little pods that you couldn't open. And your pot was in there and you had to vape it through that
Garbage
thing.
pot too, by the way, because right, like that's the beauty of cannabis is it should be in the raw, unadulterated flower
Mhm.
to where you can see.
Mhm.
Was
To
it
the
beautiful? Was it
stipulations.
not? You know,
Yeah.
And so COPD, lung cancer patients, burn pit victims, I believe that they all can use this device healthily because this one has a fan. So when I was healing so I was put on that liver transplant list and I had a progressive form of lupus, they had told me. So I was getting lung infections. I started using my fan on there. I would just lay down, take a nap. It would blow in my face. I'd wake up fine. Then I started seeing people with epilepsy and their children. They didn't want to teach their children how to smoke pot. Right? You don't want to, or an old person, excuse my language, but somebody older than us, I guess I should call them an old person, or
Right.
somebody with lung cancer. They might want to consume cannabis. Well, they can because we have a way to get it to them healthily.
Right. Through vaporizing and like you said,
Absolutely.
through the fan and that. So that's
Yeah.
the Silver Surfer. That's the second edition, correct? So this
Yep,
is
and
the
then
Silver
this is the
Surfer.
super.
Silver has a base and the
Okay.
super has the fan and lights underneath.
Super. Okay. The Super Surfer. Okay.
Yep, there it is.
Very cool. Very cool.
And then these are just glass pieces that are up for sale that when they sell, they'll benefit Elev8 veterans. We also, like I said, do a plethora of other things. So we also have cups and mugs. I have pins, I have patches, I have t-shirts. On our website, there is packages. So you can go from 1-star to 5-star. And each package, it lays out what you're going to get and how much is actually going back to Elev8 veterans.
Right. And all that money goes into getting education,
Yes.
these items for veterans, and also getting them into glass blowing and getting them into the shop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So much more. And I want to cover more, right? I want to be able to say, you know what, maybe you need an acupuncturist. Let me send you over here.
Mhm.
Right. And be able to help subside that I want to be able to just do more.
Right. Right. But like you said, more costs money. So that's why,
Yes.
And more people.
Yeah.
She is a rock star, but she's like gold. She is spread thin and
Yeah.
you know, there's only so much.
And now if people did want to volunteer, if people wanted to get involved, how do they do that? How do people get involved in what you're doing?
So I have several ways to get involved. You can do it whether you're remote or here. If you come here, we could do events together, or I need someone that can call these veterans. So elev8veterans.com, they can go there, sign up for assistance or just to tell me their story. I need someone that can help me to contact them all.
Right.
Simple
Right.
as that. I need to recreate maybe a new board, like a treasurer, board members, different nonprofits. I want to partner with as much as I can, and not because we're competing, because we're absolutely not. We all have a different service, and I believe that together is how we can grow.
And what we
Right.
need is more money.
We do
That's the
need
reality.
money, but we can't without more volunteers helping me to reach out to do more good. So I believe that to do more good, that's when you get more money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it works. You hear about all these organizations. This guy just walked from this place to this place and raised this much money. Great, but how many people did it take to get that to be done, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I need, the people that can get that done. Like I can do the job. I'll march from California to Australia if I could, right? Like anything I can. I just need, and social media and fundraisers.
I try to learn social media because I try to expand the show. I try to get more people. I am not good at it. I know I make a lot of mistakes, but I know there's actually people out there that's what they do for it now. That's what they do for a living. That is,
Yes.
that's so foreign to me
charge
because
so
I'm
much money.
old, but they charge money to run your social media. And listen, they're good at it. They know how to beat the algorithms. They know how to get your stuff up on YouTube or at the top of the Facebook page, or make sure that 2,000 people see your Instagram post, or 10,000 people see your Instagram post. I'm just using a hashtag that I think looks catchy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but all of these different people can volunteer and help at all these different organizations, including yours.
Right. And so we love volunteers. And when I say, money is a thing that we need, it's not for us at all. We don't get paid. It doesn't come here. We need money because if we can't get a volunteer, then we have to hire people.
You have to hire people.
And those people work for money.
Mhm.
Money makes the shit work. Like,
no, you do. I mean, listen, and there are so many veteran organizations that are competing for money. I mean, and the flashy ones, I think I was just talking to somebody last week about it. The flashy ones with the special forces veterans and this, and the wounded warriors, and they get first dibs. I hate to say it like that, but they're getting they're the ones that are on Fox and Friends. They're the ones that are on the front cover of the newspapers and stuff like that. So you have to work 10 times harder to get $1 that they get $10 just because name recognition. So it is very difficult.
And then I have a question. So every organization that wants to partner with me, my first question is, what are you doing to rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans? And 9 out of 10 can't tell me. They're not. Like, where is that money going? What's really going on? Like, what are you really doing to help me? To help my brother?
That's everything and everywhere. People are just.
It is about the money, and they do get that first money, and maybe it's bitterness. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Like, it's just hard, and they obviously didn't just get it overnight, right? They got away.
These organizations, a lot of them have worked very hard, obviously, but it's tough. It's tough as the new organizations on the block, as you guys try to build. It is very difficult. There's only certain amount of money that goes around. I forget what they say. Americans give, I think it's 30% of their income to charity overall, or like 27%. We're actually the most giving society on the planet. Our citizens are, by the way. I'll caveat that. Our citizens are the most giving people on the planet. We give more to charity than anybody else. We always, fundraisers when there's a hurricane, whatever the case may be. But you're fighting for that limited portion of the income.
And I don't want to be $1 million organization paying people. I want to have $1 million where the product's out there in veterans' hands.
Yes. Well, that's what it's all about.
Because if they don't have this, then I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. No, that's the whole point, is to make sure that they're getting what they need. Like you said, an alternative medicine, and an alternative to what the VA is. Just, here's your list of medication, enjoy, come back in 3 months, and we'll see how that all works out. Let's be honest, it's really not the way we were meant to look at healthcare, because that's not healthcare. That's prescription.
It's making money.
It's prescriptions. That's what it is.
It's killing our soldiers.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And our civilians, and it's causing suicide.
Yeah, no, listen,
I know you see it.
As much as I would love for everybody to kind of open their eyes and see that there are alternatives out there, and it doesn't have to be cannabis. You know what I mean? There are a lot of, it doesn't have to be, like you said, you mentioned chiropractor, acupuncture, like I said, equine therapy is another big one that's out there. Just reconnecting with nature, people that promote going on hikes or doing adventure type stuff, or just getting back. Like I said, we had PB Abate on last week, and they have 350 acres in Montana, and they're just going out there and they're working. They're literally going out there and working, by the way. They're not going out there and hanging out. They're building a camp. So you're working your ass off, but it's about brotherhood, sisterhood. It's about getting back to nature. It's about simplicity. It's reconnecting. It's a mission. And it's all of that is beneficial to us as veterans and also civilians as well. So, anything we can do to promote that type of stuff, we want to definitely do that.
And being here in Colorado Springs, we've got beautiful Pikes Peak. We've got the incline. There's so much
Yeah.
And everybody here, I believe, is more accepting of alternative lifestyles than
course.
say other states. Like I travel constantly, and this is one of the most forgiving. Washington State is too, but Colorado and Washington State are the most forgiving states for you being an individual.
And that's what it's all about.
Failing at life. Like we're all allowed, like we
Sure,
all
you're
are
allowed
going to
to
fail.
fail.
Everybody fails. You know, it's how you get up from it and do it. And, you know,
What you do
creating a
with it.
system where it puts you in jail to make an example of you or something like that. Like we need to look at that.
Yeah.
Veterans, everything.
There's a better way. There definitely is a better way. So again, where can people find more information? Just obviously, if you're local to Colorado or you know you're going to be in Colorado, if you want to come to one of the events, where can they buy products? And also, again, where can they get that information about cannabis, that dictionary and everything?
Okay, so and I'll type it all to you as well, so you can put it in the blog. But
Yep.
Elev8 Veterans is my website. That is the website where you can go to sign up if you need assistance, if you want somebody to talk to. That'll be the easiest way to connect with me. It'll also have my email address on there. There might be a phone number too. Just send a text message or whatever, and someone will get back to you. You can also, in order to buy, you can go through elev8veterans.com and it will say, shop here, go here, and that will take you. Anybody that's viewing this, if you use EV15, that's going to give you 15% off of everything. Elev8 Veterans 15. How about that? EV15.
Beautiful.
And that'll be at elev8glassgallery.com, Elev8 Veterans. Every single one of our websites will guide you right back to the store if you need. For education, that is on Elev8 Glass Gallery. And you can also get that through our info, but Elev8 Presents, ELEV, the number 8, presents.com is our website, and also our YouTube. Our YouTube channel has a ton of information. Plus, every single week, we post 2 to 3 interviews with glassblowers from around the country. So that's going to allow people to get a little motivation, inspiration, maybe see if it's something you like. You'll get to hear different people's stories. We also have product demonstrations on everything we own. If you have any questions, it has Steve and I talking about Elev8 Veterans. Everything is there under Elev8 Presents YouTube. But yeah, the best way, I'm on IG, I'm on Facebook. If you message, I'm the one that answers it right now. So
you can just Google
just
Elev8
Google
Veterans.
Elev8
Just
Veterans.
ELEV8 Veterans.
Yep, the number 8. There is another one, a guy started here locally called Elev8. It's ELEV8 Veterans. And so, but it's not in action.
Okay. So we want to make sure that's the number 8.
The number 8,
the
yes.
number 8. And obviously we'll put everything in the show notes so that people, and also on the YouTube channel, to make sure that people get right over to the right place. Definitely we want all of that to happen. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I didn't know about the combustible versus the vaping. I didn't know about how much more beneficial the vaping side of it was. I assumed that it was probably better for you. You know what I mean? But that was, again, just an assumption of mine.
Right.
But to hear that when you consume it in that fashion, you're actually getting a better absorption and more of the good stuff, we'll just say it like that, than when you combust it. That's great to hear, and that's the type of information that I really think veterans need to hear. If they are thinking about going down the path of cannabis, do your research.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, understand the laws in your state, okay? Because we want everybody to be safe out there. We want everybody to be law-abiding citizens. Don't get yourself in any type of trouble. That's not necessary. So check the local laws. Read your local laws. Don't go to your buddy who says he read it and I'm telling you it's okay. Read your local laws. This is your responsibility, your choices. So make sure you do that. And then do your research about the best way to consume this stuff. Because, again, I've talked to a bunch of people, but I didn't really realize that there was a difference in the way you consumed as far as what you actually take into your body and how you absorb it. So that's great information.
Yep, and it takes the stigma of being a stoner away, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want to smoke pot because of the stigma.
Yeah.
Not smoking
Stop
pot,
watching the old
consuming
movies from the
cannabis.
1950s. Everybody,
Yes.
please.
Yes,
All
you are
right.
cannabis consumers,
Yep.
Put that out there.
cannabis connoisseurs, if you would.
Yeah.
Right? Like your doctor is gonna put you on 4 or 5 different antidepressants before you find the right one. Am I right?
Of course. Of course, they're going to mess with the
Same thing. I'm a
dosages.
connoisseur.
Yeah, they're going to mess with the dosages. They're going to mess with everything. And like you said, listen, what's the difference between trying a new IPA because you're a beer guy? Okay. I mean, you guys are in Colorado. It's one of the beer capitals of the United States. You know, every craft brewer goes through.
mug.
I mean, yeah, come on. You know, well, why not enjoy the flavors of all these different strains of cannabis and become a connoisseur, and you're getting a medicinal property to it as well. So that, I mean, it's awesome. It's great.
And you have to remember, we have an endocannabinoid system in us. And how did that happen? Right? Our body naturally makes cannabinoids, and there's only one other plant on earth that also produces cannabinoids. And so you can't tell me that somehow some of us weren't meant to somehow interact with this plant in some form or another.
Yeah. And get some benefit from it, you know, and that's what it's all about. We want to make sure everybody's getting the benefits. That's the best stuff. So, well, guys, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I've had a blast talking to you. It's a great topic, and I hope everybody gets a lot out of it. And I want to make sure everybody gets over to Elev8 Veterans, get this information, understand what's going on, and make sure you're taking care of yourself and you're being an advocate for your own health. You're making sure that you're making your decisions for your own health. Hey, listen, take all the information in. Don't shun any one side. Make sure you're getting all that information and you're making good decisions on your own behalf. So for Bulletproof Veteran Podcast, Theresa, Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Hey, you guys have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye now.